everyone, it's Katie with One Music School, and today I'm going to teach you 3 basic things that will make your chord changes lightning fast. You just have to remember to act. A, C, T. A stands for anchor. You're going to choose one finger to anchor the entire chord, and then you're going to move your other fingers and let it revolve around that one finger. C, you're going to find something that it has in common, because most likely you will find that with your chords within the same kind of chord family, you will find a fret or a string in common. And T, you're going to practice transitioning between the chords. So first let's start with A, anchor. So for example, I know a lot of my beginning students, they have a hard time with the G chord. This is also the D chord on the guitar. And so what I'm going to choose is my ring finger right here, finger number 3. I'm going to anchor that one first. And then one by one, I'm going to place my fingers in the position of my G chord or my D chord on the guitar. So if you noticed, I moved one finger at a time. So anchor finger, and then the rest. For me personally, I like to choose my middle finger and then my pointer finger for this particular chord. Here is a B flat on the ukulele. On the guitar, this is an F chord. I'm going to anchor finger number 1 first, securely on these 2 strings. Then I'm going to stack each finger one after the other. So if you noticed, I anchored and then I moved one finger at a time. For the bar chord, what I like to do is I like to plant my pointer finger first, and then I find my other fingers. So I make sure that I roll my finger onto its side, I have that position first, then I find my other fingers. I have seen some of my students actually find their other fingers first and then bar. That could be a little bit more difficult because the transition will be longer. I recommend use your pointer finger first and then find one more finger in the bar chord. And then once you're comfortable, add the other one. So it's the same thing, anchor finger, and then you add your other fingers one at a time. Last, we have transition. This is incredibly important because, like I said before, most of your chords within a certain chord family have something in common, either a fret or a string. So let's say that I am transitioning to an A on the guitar or a D to the ukulele. It's the same transition. I'm going to notice that, okay, so in order to play my A on my guitar, I've noticed that, okay, oh, this has a string in common. So I think about, instead of lifting my entire hand off of the fretboard, I am going to leave it there as I lift my other 2 fingers, leave that as my anchor, slide over, and stack the other 2 on top. So usually you will find something in common. Even if you don't find anything in common, like make some sort of rhyme up or just try to find something that you can try to connect the dots between what you're doing now and the chord that you would like to play next. So let's say that we're doing our G to our D, just like how I explained with the guitar. So we have this position right here, and then I find my D chord. Whoa, I find out that it has the E string in common. So now I no longer have to lift my entire hand off the fretboard, because sometimes our brains freak out when our hands are completely off the fretboard and we think, oh my gosh, where are we? I have no anchor. So we've noticed right here that this can be our anchor. We can lift these other 2, slide and stack. Slide and stack. Now, if I want to add strumming into it, I actually touched base on this in a previous video that I did of 5 more mistakes that beginners make. I'm going to put that in the cards above, also the description box below, because I do go more in depth with that. But I would just choose between 2 chords and just go back and forth switching between the 2 over a longer period of time. So let's say 8 counts each. So as I'm playing my D chord, I just keep thinking, all right, here comes my G transition. All right, plant the pinky, up, plant their pinky, move one finger at a time, and then I can actually get a feel for how the transition's going to be. Then I can try to add that into an actual song. Ukulele example. A lot of people have been asking me, hey, I'm really struggling with trying to get to my G chord from wherever I am in another song. So I'm going to start with an F chord because that's within the same chord family as a G. So I'm just strumming along right here, and I have my F chord, and then I have my G chord. So first I'm going to find my anchor finger. Okay. And then I'm going to find my other fingers, and I'm going to put them down one finger at a time. But if I also notice my F chord doesn't really have anything in common with the G. There's, my ring finger's just kind of hanging out, so what do? Well, as I'm strumming, what I do is that I make sure that I find my anchor finger, put that there first. See how my pointer finger is still on the first fret? And then I move my other two fingers. So even though it doesn't have a string in common, you still think about your anchor finger first. And again, you do a transition exercise that you just elongate how long you play each chord and practice switching between just those two chords. Then you add one more chord after that. And then you can try to add it into the entire mix of the song that you're trying to play. So you just should try to isolate that one part that you're having trouble with. Most likely when you're working with a bar chord, you will find something that it does have in common. So you'll have to kind of look through the transition of the chords and see if you can find an anchor finger. Somewhere where you can just slide that finger up and down the fretboard so that you don't have to lift your entire hand off the fretboard. If you're practicing that transition between something that is way up higher in the neck and you have to go way down low, practice that transition, but use your anchor finger first and then plant your other fingers. It will get better over time with some practice. Now, obviously there are more chord progressions that have more strings in common than I shared. There are countless, but I just wanted to give you the tools to be able to try to find them yourself, because you won't always have somebody in front of you telling like, hey, that finger has that in common. The more and more you're able to find that yourself, the easier it's going to be able to learn new chords, new songs, and to make your fingers lightning fast. But you have to remember to practice and act. 1, you find that anchor finger. 2, you find something that's in common with that and you move it one finger at a time. 3, you have to transition and practice that transition to see what it has in common. So you have to make sure that you actually practice that, just that one little bit. Try not to practice the whole entire thing. You just isolate that one part that's giving you trouble. Then you add one chord before or after that belongs in whatever chord progression that you're practicing. It's going to make things easier and less frustrating. And that's it. I hope this helped you. Leave in the comment section below a chord progression that used to be frustrating for you and now it's easy because you practiced it, or maybe you're just still struggling with a certain chord. Maybe we can help each other and encourage each other just to say, hey, I'm struggling with that too. Or you can say, hey, I used to struggle with that. This helped me. This is a community. Let's help each other out. Let's encourage each other. That's what I love the most about you as my subscribers. So I hope you have a great day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.